Hello, Force. Once again, this is Captain Frugal for another episode of Road Rage. Today's another day. Actually, I'm walking. I'm taking a nice walk. It's a beautiful morning, a little cold, but I like it that way. And I'm actually recording on a new phone. Yeah, my previous phone just was dying, and I had to get everything switched over. The battery was lasting about 2 hours at most. It was making random calls that I didn't make and opening the internet and other apps and things without me actually doing it, and the screen was going bad. So it was time to change. So anyway, with that said, not only that, but I was still thinking more, and I watched a live stream with Ethan and Jon Malin, and it made me think, you know what, I'm going to do another episode of ComcisGate and Attitude. So it's on the same subject with attitude here, and the reason is I really like the attitude that Jon Malin is displaying here. He's playing the peacekeeper role. He's watching his attitude and he's keeping it in check. He's not letting things get to him that don't need to. He's keeping his focus, and that's a real pro move there, especially when you're in a rough situation, when you have two friends that you know really well arguing with each other and having disagreements. Can you be the neutral ground between them? Because you like them both, and maybe you don't have that disagreement with one, and they haven't wronged you, or whatever it may be, and just keeping it in check. And Jon Malin's been keeping that attitude in check. So I like to talk about that, though. How we view our world obviously has a lot to do with our attitude. Clearly, we have heard the old saying, do you see the glass half empty or glass half full? And that's a way of looking at life, in other words, as an optimist or a pessimist, or, in reality, or a realist. Let's just be honest there. But the question is which do you choose, half empty or half full? To look at life every day as half empty, which is negative, of course, would be really draining on you. And you look at here, Malin is showing a positive half full perspective that, hey, I'm open to be on this stream, that stream. I've been with this guy, talked to him a long time, made friends with him. Why let one thing get in the way? So I have very smart friends. I have some clever friends. Well, not all of them, but I believe in surrounding yourself with good people if you can. And some of them live in crowded areas, especially like in the summer and things. So, think about it. You can always adjust your shades so that you only see the trees and not the other homes and things like that and the sidewalks. So you can adjust your perspective. Now, I'm not saying give yourself tunnel vision, but you're still aware that those things are there. But you get the best of the whole situation because you're choosing what you see. You're choosing what you look at. You don't have to go and find things to make you mad. It's easy to find things that make you mad. I understand those get clicks and things like that on YouTube and all that. But if we want happiness, you find if you go negative a long time, it really burns you out. So if you can't change the situation, remember that. You can alter your perception. Now look around you. Okay? At work, you could put a picture of an ocean or mountain view on your desk. Something as simple as that. Or those, frames that are digital and switched pictures and make yourself happy. I have pictures of my kids on my desk, so I just get to see them and they make me absolutely happy. So in other words, the view of your world will assist you in keeping your attitude positive. If you surround yourself with positive things, you're more likely to have a positive aspect. The choice of view and your chosen perception also works with any social function that you attend. You choose to internally obsess over things that you can't change. You got to learn there's things you can't change. Drop it. If you can't change it, you can't change it. It's out of your control. You do the best with what you have, and you let the other things not get to you as much. Change your view of the day. You already know what's going to happen. Change your attitude. You'll have a much better day. Yeah, maybe it's going to be a hard day at work. Maybe put many goals in there for you to keep you excited and motivated. There will always be people, too, who step over their boundaries to test your faith and your patience. These are not the happiness robbers. These are people that are your attitude testers. They're going to push those buttons. You know what? And at the end of the day, you can look at yourself if you kept your attitude positive and go, you know what? I didn't let that crap get to me. Absolutely not. But if you let it drag you down, then you've got a problem. And I noticed that lately with Jon Malin on live streams. He comes in there with a positive attitude, rip-roaring. His goal is not to cut people down. He focuses, or tries to focus, it appears, on the positive aspects of each person. Sure, he claims, what his perception is with reality. He doesn't say, and overlook everything a person does, but he looks at the bright side of what that person does. He looks at the positivity. He said, okay, this person's half evil right now. he views them as. But he's looking at the other half and realizing, no person's perfect. None of us, not a single one. Don't, remember that. Let he without sin cast the first stone, right? So we have to look at each other in maybe a different light, because we all have disagreements. There's nothing we can 100% ever agree on. Most of the people you know already, if you allow them to test your good attitude, when you know how they are, then this is your problem. You're allowing them to do it to you. Phew, I'm getting a little huffy puffy. I'm going at a fast pace here, keeping that heart rate up. Remember that. You're allowing these people to do that to you. You can't control them, and you know this. We can only control what our reaction is to them. Don't let them win by getting us to put our crazy shirt on. If you don't know that reference, please watch the episode 2 in this series. And if you don't know, people, my last video I might add, were commenting, well, who exactly are you talking about? I didn't have specifics on purpose. This is in general for everybody. Everybody has different people with these triggers and things. Watch the first episode and you'll see that. And I'm going to use that little bit, that comments and criticism, in a little bit here talking too. So remember that you can't change always the entire situation, right? But you can change your perception and view of it, keeping you in the best attitude, and that's paramount if you want to have your happiness. If you're struggling with others, look at the pattern of why things are not falling into place. See what the common denominator is. What is the common denominator in this issue? The common denominator, you ready for this? If you're having issues and struggling with things, is usually you. And that's the hard one to look at. And why? That's because maybe we're letting things get to us that we shouldn't. Right? We're focusing on things that we shouldn't. We could be focusing on things that make us happy, but we're too focused on the things that seem harsh to us. Maybe we just need to change our viewpoint a little bit. So keep that in mind. Usually, if you start listening to what is wrong in your life, your work won't work out. Your love life won't last. Promotions will pass you by because you're focused on the negative, and money tends to be lacking at that point too because nothing's falling into place. Who's in the center of all these issues? What's the common denominator? Once again, it's you, because only you can control you. So I suggest this. Take a day, maybe a couple days, and listen to your complaints. Okay? Go to your comment section, if you will, if you're on YouTube or whatever. Listen to your complaints. Look at your Twitter. Now remember, some people are generally harsh and online and things. People tend to complain more than say positive things. But maybe even write these complaints down. Okay? And think about them. Actually take a moment and think, are they valid complaints? Can you change what that complaint is about? If so, okay, stop complaining that they're complaining about you. Time's too precious. Go for it. If you can't, oh well, you can move on. But sometimes those complaints might help you shape and form things. So for example, as I said earlier, somebody was complaining that I wasn't being specific enough. Like, what do you mean by SJWs? Well, I mean people, and it's, once again, I said it's a general thing, but what I mean is for people that are so hard viewed on one thing, they won't even listen to the other perspective. They vilify over listening and trying to make those connections. Usually it's very hard because if they start vilifying us, that's the reaction we want to do back. But that's when we put our crazy shirt on, and we don't want to do that. Okay? So this could be anybody. Okay? This was never pointed to intend to be an attack on anybody with this video series. The point of this video series is to try to realize we're all in this together, whether it be comic books, games, and things. Why can't we find some of the fun in it rather than focusing on only the negative parts, right? So looking at your life in full, let's make it full. Okay, think about your actions, your desires, your emotions, everything you do. Do they serve you, or do they take away from you in what you are? The things you're doing or having thoughts about, are they hurting you? Think about that. If it hurts you, stop it. If every time you get on Twitter and dive in, you get in fights, maybe take a break from Twitter for a little while, just to get your own attitude in check a little bit. Maybe change who you're communicating with a little bit. I'm not saying you have to leave other people behind, but just maybe, start finding some different people too. Get a different perspective. There are many practices too that we can get to help us reduce our stress. Let's be honest, we have our work, everything else that's leading to our stress, our families and things like that. So what can you do? Well, prayer, mental skills, whatever it is, finding things that you enjoy. I have several methods. I remember when I was working massive hours. I was working about 100 hours a week. Of course I'd get stressed out, and the way to help that would be when I got home, I would turn up the amplifier to 12, or 11 I should say, right? Yeah, if you know that reference, put it down in the comments. And rock out, if I was aggravated and things, and that would make me feel better. I don't have that ability to do that now anymore because, well, I can't exactly even shake the walls when I've got kids and everything at home. It's just not very considerate. So I have other methods. I still play here and there, shake the walls. I've been getting in and playing again. It's been a long time. I really missed it. And on top of that, video games works for me. I sit down with my brother or a friend or something like that, and we wire up a wireless, because we might not even live close by, right? So that's not a barrier now with wireless technology, and we play games together, maybe shooting somebody in the face or each other or whatever. It's therapeutic for me. Working out, taking my morning walk, very therapeutic. Just talking and doing these videos sometimes is therapeutic. So what bothers you in your view is not necessarily a problem also in somebody else's view. Think about that. It's also best to have a group of friends, if you think about, or associates to whom you share with. Usually you can get some clear direction on how to handle your situation. So in other words, find somebody that's steered you well, like a mentor at work or something like that, and ask them questions. I got a few people here from when I do videos. Sometimes I do one that is a little negative, a little pointy, and what I'll do is I'll send messages to a couple people like Douglas Ernst or something like that and ask him, hey, am I going over the line here? Am I being dickish, or am I just really stating the facts and things? And I'll get that feedback, and that means something to me. And, by the way, if you don't check out Doug's channel, most definitely, Douglas Ernst, great YouTuber, even keeled. He's the same situation as me. We both know a lot of people in this, and people tend to want to try to get us to pick sides and fight, and he's been adamant about not doing that. Once again, just like Jon Malin's doing, I've been doing that, Doug Ernst, and it's sometimes hard. It's hard being that middle guy. It really is. So you'll get a different view sometimes from these people that help you with the situation. You can then choose to add their views to yours if you want. It's helpful to take things out with trusted friends. Okay? Whatever. Heck, you could talk these things out too when you take this stuff out to them with your pets or anything. Take a walk and talk to your animals. All right. So the choice of having a bad attitude will snowball. Don't get there, okay? This attitude has a snowball effect. Same if you have a great attitude, that'll help have a snowball effect and make you happy too. So don't forget that, okay? Well, remember now, as I said in the first 2 videos of this series, attitude is our choice. There will always be times and people that do make us mad and angry, right? Leading to times of unhappiness and sadness. It's just the way it is. But it's our choice of how long we sit in it. If it doesn't serve you, delete it. Get it out of you. Get it out of there. There's no point in sitting there and stirring on it. You do what you can with it. If you can't affect it, leave it alone. How long do you choose to sit in this emotion of anger and unhappiness and madness? That's your choice. If you allow it to keep you mad, it will. Once again, do what you can. If you can't change it, things you cannot change, it's insanity to keep beating on it and expecting a different result. Yes, there's things you can change and fight for those things. Absolutely. But if it's making you absolutely miserable day in and day out, don't let it continue to do that. Find other things to help energize you and motivate you so you can continue to fight that good fight. All right. I blabbered on a lot in this video. Hopefully you stuck to the end. If you did, I greatly appreciate it. If you don't mind, you can help support the channel by hitting like, subscribe, hitting that notifications bell. Also, if you didn't know, we now have Subscribestar. I have a link down below. So if you're not a fan of Patreon, we have Subscribestar. But we also have Patreon too, or even a Streamlabs OBS link there where you can click on the Streamlabs and do a one-time donation to help out the channel if you find yourself in a good position to do so. Where if you're on the Patreon or Subscribestar, we're going to have Subscribestar. Bear with me in time. I'm new to that, but we're going to have it on there too. The exclusive videos are to those. If you subscribe to either of those, at our Patreon, as well as some other things like you can give input on the videos that I'm going to do and things that matter. We'd greatly appreciate it. We could use that money goes back into the channel to make things better, to help get us equipment and things. And it's getting a little lowered a bit. I can understand that. It happens. People weren't happy with the Patreon. The way, not what I was doing as far as I know, from the feedback I got, and they weren't happy with the system of Patreon. So they asked me to consider alternative options, and that's exactly what I did. So I hope I found one you liked. All right, well, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time, and I hope you comment, share your thoughts. And until next time, keep it frugal.